Good afternoon. This is JC, St. Louis's oldest living hippie, and I'm bringing you some results of the United States tariffs on Canada and what's happening in at least 5 states, one of which is my home state, Michigan. I was born there in Detroit. So, anyway, I don't think you're going to be happy about this, and I don't know many people who would be happy. It kind of reminds me of the 1976 oil crisis, whenever we had all long lines, and it was all due to maybe it was 73, I don't know, but it was due to the Arab and Israeli conflict. Was that 73? I don't remember. But anyway, the lines at the gas station were long, and the gas stations ran out of gas, and it was absolutely ridiculous. And the whole thing was a made-up thing between the Bush family and the damn um, Saudis. So there was no real shortage; it was contrived. But anyway, we know this is a real shortage. Why? Because the United States tariffs on oil in Canada have caused Alberta to cut back 60% on its oil exports, the majority of which go to Seattle and ports in the state of Washington. Washington, not Washington, Washington. Anyway, I want you to listen to this, and it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer declared a state of emergency over the weekend to bring more energy to Michigan home.
20% of our economy is tied to the auto industry, which depends on a steady flow of goods from our largest and closest trading partners.
I would say in the last month, we've seen gas price wars, which we never really experienced too much before.
Long lines of cars have begun forming at gas stations across the Midwest, with many drivers anxiously waiting for answers. Some stations have run completely dry, while others are rationing the amount of fuel sold to each customer. The story traces back to Alberta, the heart of Canada's oil industry, where Ottawa decided to tighten exports to the United States in response to new tariffs recently imposed by Washington. Within just a few days, the impact spread widely. Gasoline prices surged to levels not seen in years by many Canadian and American households. Freight networks, from food to essential goods, started to clog up. State governors have been piling on the pressure, urging the federal government to find an immediate solution. Yet experts warn that the clock is ticking. If supplies are not restored soon, the northern United States could face a broad fuel and goods shortage, an outcome no one wants to see. Washington, first to feel the shock. Among the states hit hardest by this energy shock is Washington, the energy trade hub of the Pacific Northwest. With over 780 kilometers of shared border with British Columbia and strategic ports such as Seattle and Tacoma, Washington has long served as a gateway for oil imports from Alberta, while also supplying fuel to Oregon, Idaho, and even parts of Alaska. But when Alberta retaliated against Washington's new tariffs by slashing oil exports to the U.S., Washington took the blow directly. Overnight, fuel volumes crossing the Peace Arch and Suma's border points plunged by more than 60%. Reserves at Anacortes and Cherry Point dropped to record lows, while several oil tankers docking in Seattle left empty-handed. The consequences were immediate. In Seattle, Spokane, and Bellingham, many stations hung out of fuel signs or restricted sales to just 8 to 10 gallons per vehicle. Rural areas were hit even harder, with some stations shutting down altogether due to lack of supply. Residents queued before dawn hoping to fill up, while prices spiked above $6 a gallon, the highest level in more than 20 years. The shortage has also battered local industries. Fishermen in Puget Sound were unable to set out to sea as diesel supplies dried up, threatening the entire season's catch. Shipping companies had to cancel nearly a third of deliveries, disrupting supply chains across neighboring states. For apple and cherry growers, the crisis is a nightmare scenario. Harvest season is looming, yet it's unclear whether their fruit will make it to market. Analysts warn that if the crunch persists, gasoline prices in Washington could hit $7 a gallon. Container traffic at the ports of Seattle and Tacoma will slump further, and many small businesses that depend on steady transport may be forced to close. Michigan, an auto heartland on Edge, Michigan, once proud as the beating heart of America's auto industry, has also found itself at the center of this fuel crisis. The state depends heavily on crude oil flowing from Alberta through Line 5 and Enbridge's main pipeline network. Even a minor disruption can throw the system into chaos. This time, with Canada's sharp retaliation, the fallout came fast and hard. Within 3 days of the supply cut, plants in Detroit, Flint, and Grand Rapids were nearly out of fuel. Gas prices soared from $3.95 to $4.65 in just 4 days.
Governor
There you go. Think about it. A lot of you are so young, you never, ever experienced an oil shortage or refined gasoline shortage. You're all too young, most of you. But us baby boomers, we've been through it 2 or 3 times. And it is certainly no fun. When it happens, it is at the point where the nation can't function. You'll sit in lines for hours waiting to get gas. And when you get there, they just might put out that sign, no gas, right before it's your turn to take on your fuel. So I'm here to tell you, I hope you listen to all this, and I hope you take it for what it is. This is a real crisis, and this crisis was caused by no one else than Donald Trump and his tariffs against Canada, our next door neighbor. This is JC, St. Louis's oldest living hippie, saying, fuck Donald Trump. And to all my friends, family, and followers, pox some more, Jack, and keep on trucking.